know you guys are gonna be shocked by this information, but Major Mitchell cockatoos really excite me, and we had one show up at our masterclass today. So I was happy about this cockatoo. Seriously, I mean it. So Dulce and her daughter Nina brought in Jasper, a 2-year-old male Major Mitchell cockatoo today, who's pretty much scared of everything. The sad thing about today that was kind of discouraging to me is that what Nina described before Dulce got there was that they used to do the seasonal feeding, they used to do the 12 hours of sleep, and then everything just kind of shifted. They called Jasper a COVID bird, which usually means that they're not getting a lot of socialization during the time that the people first acquire them. And because everybody was at home for a longer amount of time and had an easier schedule, they had an easier time taking care of Jasper. Now, also, he was probably a baby, so that tends to make people spend a lot more time with cute, cuddly baby birds than birds going into adulthood. The bummer is that as things changed and as sleep schedules started to, I guess, make different members of the house a little annoyed, they started modifying this, and they started serving frozen vegetables that they'd buy at the grocery store that was like a mixed medley. They'd heat it up and serve it warm.
I know she gave them your seasonal diet for a while, and that worked really well on them, but we haven't gotten back to that. So we have like the pre-frozen veggies that we heat in the microwave, and we give that to them, as far as I know. And then we give the rowdy bush pellets.
So this definitely induces hormones when you serve warm, mushy foods like that with no intention of diet conversion. It was all just kind of a bummer, so I kind of berated them and told them to go back to what was working because it was obviously better. Just kidding. Kind of. I didn't berate them. I educated them. Again, it turned into just a lifestyle change, which we all go through. So I do want to put a little emphasis real quick on the fact that the seasonal feeding system, which is the recipe we serve for breakfast, might take more time up front for one single day to make it, but it'll last you 3 to 4 months worth for your bird to eat breakfast. And it's really, really easy. Honestly, we made it the way that we did for the convenience of you guys so that you couldn't have any excuses about why not to feed it. It is more cost effective and it's more time effective. The other thing that started to happen with Jasper in his home is that as a baby, he was very, very tolerant of things. And sometimes with baby birds, we don't really see what they're upset about or what they're not taking to very easily. And we tend to just kind of overlook it and force them into it without realizing that we're forcing these baby birds. What happened with Jasper is he increasingly didn't want to go back to his cage more and more and more until finally it got to the point where they have to turn off the lights and catch him with a towel to put him back into his cage. Now this is a bummer. This is such a bummer because they were so set up to be successful, from our diet and sleep schedule to our permission-based training techniques, and then to go to this is like, transformation in the wrong direction. But it just kind of goes to show that it can happen to any of us. Even the most well-intentioned people who are doing it right and having success feel like they can get away with changing and modifying a few things, and then they end up at a master class realizing not gonna happen.
See, he'll say no.
Okay, let's close that for a second. So there's a couple of things I love that you just did.
Okay.
So the first thing was we talked about permission-based training, and you're actually saying it out loud. Do you want to step up? And then you allowed your bird to say no. That's awesome. Now, where I make a correction is that after all the saying no, you rewarded him with an actual treat. So if you look at, the interaction, he still takes a treat from you, but you reinforced him for, I would say, it appears that he's a little timid, a little bit afraid, and so we're reinforcing that. So I think it's a fine balance of, let's see if we can get small approximations towards wanting to step up without showing fear, and that's what I think we're going to want to reward.
Okay.
So if you get a step up,
Let him go back?
let him go right back down onto his perch for the treat without taking him out.
So today, Jasper did get scared. He did fly around. He was hard to catch. We had the experiences of him getting pretty freaked out. And Dave's whole motto is making sure that we're set up to not have those terrible interactions. But I will say, compared to what they described at home, it wasn't as stressful as I imagined to get him in and out of this carrier. I will say, because of this carrier's guillotine type of door, it made it a little tricky to get Jasper in and out. So my first recommendation is to get a different style carrier that Jasper is equally comfortable of going in and out of, but that is actually easier to get him in and out of. Interesting thing that Dave noted was there was 2 perches in this carrier. The right side he would go to avoid the humans, and the left side he would go to say, yeah, I'll come out. It was so subtle and something that nobody else caught on to, but is such an important thing to be able to recognize with your bird's behavior of birds can talk to us. We just need to be willing to listen and hear what they're saying. And most of the time they talk to us with their body language, not necessarily their vocalizations.
So let's reinforce him there back on the perch. So give him a treat. Okay, so we've had 2 successes in a row when he came over here. So let's give him time to come over there. And then we'll ask for a step up from that position.
And I will say, I know one of the times you asked for a step up, he shook his head no, and you kind of took it as a no. I will say, I think he has a feather that's like bothering his face that is more the cause of the shaking the head. I don't think he's actually shaking his head like humanly no. So just FYI, that was my read on that.
Can I see if he's what he does with me?
Yeah, sure.
You know.
We'll take that.
He's like, I don't even want that. Whoa! Holy permacrust. I want to take a second and have you guys all reassess how much sleep your bird's getting. And not only that, the quality of sleep that your bird's getting. When Dave assessed this with Nina, he was like, normally when adult children are in the house, they're staying up late, parents are waking up early, the bird is really not getting the 6 hours you marked on this sheet. It's probably more like 3 hours. And that was definitely the case here. Jasper's just not getting adequate sleep. Again, those foundations. It was really cool because they seemed to go home with the information of, hey, we need to go back to what we were doing when we were first putting all that effort and time and attention into Jasper before our lives got crazy. It was really amazing to see Jasper respond to Nina. Nina has been the one that's been forceful in the past, and Jasper has no tolerance for it anymore now that he's not a baby. And today, when he stepped up for her, I could just see her entire body melt into it. Now, the hard thing about this is that between Nina and Dulce, they're such sweet, compassionate people that they often feel bad for Jasper anytime he is experiencing the littlest amount of discomfort. That means he's a bit scared of something, something makes him uncomfortable. They immediately want to just get rid of that something. And how I described it to Dulce was, it would be as if your daughter Nina was scared of crossing the street. And she doesn't want to cross the street because it's dangerous. And you just say, okay, we'll never cross the street again, versus teaching her how to properly cross the street so she doesn't have to be terrified her whole life. It's really important when it comes to our animals that we teach them to be resilient. We don't just accumulate their fears and put them in a closet for them to just be scared of the entire world. This really sets them up for failure, especially when they go to outlive us and have to be passed to another home. The thing they had been doing with Jasper is accumulating fears, anything that made him uncomfortable, to the point where everything made him uncomfortable, including them, and then they had no choice but to force themselves on him. So keep in mind, it's really gonna do you some benefit to make sure that if your bird is experiencing discomfort about something, you work through it, whether it's with targeting, just emotional conditioning, any of the other techniques on our channel. Please look into them or look into an online consult and we can walk you through it step by step. If you guys are interested in attending or hosting a masterclass, contact us at info@birdtricks.com. Our 2024 and 2025 classes will be hosted exclusively in SANDPOINT, Idaho.